Hello again. It's still me, James. I'm still at Casa Cuadrau in this beautiful afternoon sunshine. And it's quite warm in the sunshine. But what to do when I wake up in the morning and it's cold and I feel like my body's still waking up? So as well as moving the spine, which I always think is a great thing to start with, because once the main channel is starting to move, the flow of the spine will irrigate the rest of the system. Another great thing to do is to give a little bit of attention to each of the major joint complexes in the body. There are many ways to do this, many ways, but I'm just going to share a simple sequence that works from the ground all the way up. So we're going to start with the ankles, and we're going to do a closed kinetic chain ankle rotation. When I say closed kinetic chain, it means that the point of contact with the ground is kind of closed. If I open the kinetic chain like this is also a good exercise to practice. And if you try, you'll notice it feels quite different in the joint. There's lots of utility to doing both of these variations, but I particularly enjoy this one and find it very useful because it's kind of concise. It's very efficient. Once I start to rotate with a closed kinetic chain, then the rotational movement moves up the chain of the body, so it's also working my knee and my hip and my spine. And if I like, I can get the arms going here as well. So very quickly, I can start to invite a lot of warmth and energy flow in the body, as well as awakening the feet and the ankles. So I'll change foot, I'll get a feel for that. I'll get a feel for what it's like when I open the kinetic chain and make a nice generous ankle circle with the foot off the ground. And then I'll feel that nice circular motion, that nourishing circular motion, moving up the chain of the leg into the spine. And if I like, I have the option to add the arms. From the ankles, we're going to move up to the knees. I find it helpful to place my hands a little bit above the knee, just to give it more control and make some small movements, just up and down. And the most important thing with all of these joint freeing movements is that they feel good. In the morning, when it starts, we want to go on. So yoga recognizes everything we do is training. What we practice, we get good at. So when we're doing a yoga technique, we want to make sure we're feeling how we want to feel the rest of the day. So it should feel good. Now, these small movements, one thing that's really good about them is they bring a lot of nutrition to the joint tissues. So there's many tissues in the knees that don't get a direct blood supply. And one of the best ways to bring them replenishing nourishment is movement. So these little bouncing movements, you can also do what I call it the slalom bounce, side to side. Now obviously, very important, if you had knee issues, knee injuries, take care to give the appropriate dose. So they say in the Indian tradition, everything in the universe can be medicine. Everything can be poison. It all depends on the constitution, the situation, and the dose. So we have to make the right dose. We can also add these lovely little circling motions. They can be very small. If you are a mogul skier, perhaps you might make big circling motions. But just make a circling motion that feels good to you, and that could be very small. But even if it's very small, those gentle circling motions will bring a lot of nutrition. They'll invite a lot of lubrication into the joints. So we start gently and just make sure that the movement feels nourishing. And at least a couple of times a week, I recommend doing maybe 100 or 200 bounces to really just bring that nutrition into the joints, into the knee joints. Moving up, we'll come into the hip and pelvis area and feel in now to the very lower part of your vertebral chain. And feel that the lowest vertebrae are inscribing a circle in space. So it's not hula hooping. I'm feeling the lowest part of my vertebral column and it's starting to inscribe a nice circle in space. I'll go both directions. And these motions, if they're new for us, it might feel a little bit strange, but that's great, because when we start to move in new ways, we start to create new synaptic connections in the body, which actually generates new brain cells. So if this is difficult, it's a way to actually get younger. We'll move up the chain, we'll move up the spine, we'll come to the level of the navel. Same thing, so feel into the area in your spine around the level of the navel and feel the deep muscles there starting to create this rotational circling action. One way and then the other. I find it can be quite helpful to just kind of pin my hands on the legs to feel like I'm minimizing the movement into the hips and the shoulders and really getting into the capacity of those muscles close to the spine to rotate and create this circling motion. So I can go both directions. And I come up towards the level of the sternum now. And again, circling motion. And the other way. So you can go a few ways each direction. Then we come to the shoulders. And the first thing I'm going to do is let the shoulders rise up, let them meet the ears, but at the same time stay relaxed and easy in the neck. So the shoulders are climbing up in a position that we might normally associate with being a bit tense. But we're going to have the shoulders up and stay nice and relaxed. So I find it helpful to make a kind of silly face, like, I'm very relaxed. Or just smile. And then lower the shoulders. So they're up, but the neck is easy, I'm feeling soft and relaxed, and the hands come down, and the fingers reach towards the knees. The arms and the shoulders rise up, keeping the arms quite straight. But the neck is relaxed. I can smile, I can make a face like a curious 4-year-old. And they come down. And I notice why in my shoulders and my scapula, they've got a lot of capacity to move up and down. And then I'll add in a rotation. So I'm still feeling, the shoulders can rise up, like they want to greet the ears. Say, good morning, ears. Hello, ears. And then the fingers can reach down all the way towards the knees. So I'm still focusing on a nice, generous range of motion, not forcing anything, but just inviting the motion to be quite expansive. Providing, of course, it's an appropriate dose for me, providing it feels good. Not avoiding, as far as possible, any sense of scrunching. Maybe in the morning you might get the odd little pop or crack in the shoulder, a little bit of air. That's fine, but we don't want to feel that the shoulder is getting ground down at all. We're just gently lubricating the joint. And once we've got that sensation, we can move into what I call swimming the shoulders. And this motion, I really can feel the connection from the floor and the feet all the way up to the shoulders. And the lovely thing here is, as well as that rotational movement nourishing the shoulder joint, I'm starting to familiarize my body with this principle of moving as a unit. So I feel the motion is supported by my connection to the earth. I can go the other way as well, backwards, do the backstroke. And I get this nice movement in the spine as well. And then I'll come to the center. I'm going to lengthen through to the crown of the head. So first I lengthen, and I'm going to look up towards the sky, but maintain a sense of spaciousness in the back of my neck. And then I'll look down towards the floor or my chest, but maintain a sense of spaciousness in the throat. Once more, I'm going to lift up through to the crown of the head, and then lift up and over to the right side. But as I lift up and over to the right, I still feel spaciousness in the right side of the neck, even as I'm getting that nice lengthening in the left. And then once more, I'm going to lift through to the crown, and then up and over. Now to the second side. Once more, lifting and lengthening through to the crown. Then I'm going to turn as if I was going to look to one side. And again, not worrying how far I go, just enjoying the movement. Going back to the center, I'm really enjoying and tuning into the sensation in the body, noticing how it feels as I move to one direction and the other, and come back to the center. And there we are. We've kind of activated, to some degree, all of the major joints. So we didn't focus in on the wrists yet, but once the ankle motion gets very comfortable, we can do them at the same time. But let's just look at a couple of ways we can work with the wrists. We can have the open kinetic chain, where the end of the chain is moving. So we're rotating the fingers in space, one way and then the other. We can also fix the fingers, relatively speaking, and rotate the wrist as if around a ping pong ball or a tennis ball.